The sun was just breaking over the desert ridge when Jake Callahan started down his trapline, his boots crunching softly against the parched earth. The air was sharp and dry, carrying with it the faint smell of dust, sagebrush, and yesterday's heat. He was a man used to silence, used to long stretches of nothing but the wind and the cry of hawks circling high above. He checked his traps with a practiced eye, his movements slow, deliberate. There wasn't much out here but him and the endless stretch of sand and sky, and he preferred it that way. He reached his last snare near the edge of a dry wash when a strange noise made him stop cold. It wasn't the usual thrash of a trapped coyote or the squeal of a jackrabbit. This sound was deeper, more desperate, a human struggle. He crouched low, his hand instinctively moving to the handle of his revolver as he crept closer through the brush. Then he saw her, an Apache woman, caught in his net trap, her wrists tangled in the rope, her dark hair spilling wild across her face. The net had pulled her arms high above her head, pinning her in place against a patch of thorny scrub. She twisted and fought against the snare, her breath coming in sharp gasps, the cords cutting deep into her skin. The sight froze Jake where he stood. He hadn't meant for this, he never set traps for people. Her head snapped toward him the moment she heard his boot scuff the ground. Her eyes, dark and burning like coals, locked on him, full of fury and defiance. Even trapped, she looked dangerous, proud. Her torn dress clung to her from the struggle, streaked with dirt and a line of blood where the rope had scraped her shoulder. Jake slowly raised both hands, showing he meant no harm. "Easy," he said, his voice steady. "I didn't know someone'd walk into my trap." She spat something in her language, words sharp as knives. He didn't know what they meant, but he could guess. She wasn't pleading. She was cursing him. Jake took a cautious step forward. "I ain't gonna hurt you," he said softly. Her breathing quickened. He could see the fight in her, every muscle tense, ready to strike if she got free. He reached for the knife on his belt, and she flinched, expecting pain. But instead of turning the blade toward her, he slid it cleanly through the ropes binding her wrists. The tension snapped. The net collapsed around her, and she stumbled forward, almost falling before catching herself. For a moment she just stared at him, disbelief flickering across her face. "You're free," he said quietly. She didn't move. The desert wind rustled between them, stirring the sand. Her lips parted, and in halting English she whispered, "You, not take me." Jake shook his head. "No, ma'am, I don't take what ain't mine." Her gaze lingered on him a long time, as if testing his truth. Then she straightened her shoulders and turned, vanishing into the vast, empty desert, leaving Jake standing there alone with the cut ropes at his feet and a strange ache in his chest he couldn't name. The night had fallen hard over the desert, the sky stretched white and black, pricked with cold stars that shimmered like 1,000 watchful eyes. Jake Callahan sat near his small campfire, the flames snapping softly in the wind. He had finished his patrol hours ago, but sleep wouldn't come. The crackling of the fire mixed with the whispering wind and the faraway cry of a lone coyote, each sound reminding him of the woman he'd freed that morning. Her face haunted him, the fierce defiance in her eyes, the tremble in her hands when he cut her loose, the disbelief when he'd told her to go. He rubbed his jaw, staring into the flames. He'd done what was right, but in the Wild West, right and foolish often looked the same. He had no reason to expect gratitude, not from her people. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed in him the moment he let her go. Then, out of nowhere, a branch snapped in the dark beyond the firelight. Jake's hand went straight to his revolver. He stood, scanning the shadows. "Who's there?" he called, his voice low but steady. A pause, then a soft voice, calm but wary. "Don't shoot." From between the mesquite trees, she appeared. The Apache woman stepped into the circle of firelight, her movements cautious yet sure. She looked different now, cleaner, more composed, her long hair loose over her shoulders. Jake blinked, half believing she was a ghost summoned by his guilt. "You again," he said quietly. "Thought you'd be long gone by now." She approached slowly, holding a small bundle wrapped in hide. Her eyes were no longer blazing with anger, but they still held the wild watchfulness of a hawk. She knelt by the fire, placed the bundle before him, and opened it to reveal roasted rabbit seasoned with desert herbs. The smell of it hit him instantly, rich and earthy. "I bring food," she said simply. "You, not hurt me. I repay." Jake lowered his gun and knelt across from her. "You didn't need to do that," he said. Apache pay debts, she replied, eyes fixed on the fire. They ate in silence, the crackle of the fire filling the spaces between them. Her hands moved gracefully, and for the first time, he noticed the small scars on her wrists, the ones his trap had left behind. The guilt stung sharper than the desert cold. After a while, she looked at him and asked softly, "Why you free me? Others, take, sell, hurt." Jake stared into the fire for a long time before answering. "Because I've done my share of wrong out here," he said. "And because you didn't deserve more pain." She studied him, her eyes softer now, touched by something like understanding. "You have sad eyes," she said. He chuckled faintly. "Guess the desert's got a way of making a man tired of himself." When she rose to leave, she touched her fingers to her heart, then toward him, a gesture of thanks. "You good man, cowboy," she murmured. Then she vanished into the night once more, leaving Jake by the fire, the stars above him burning brighter than before, and a strange warmth spreading through the cold in his chest.